since you're the host. There you go.
Sure.
All right, so hello and good morning and good afternoon to all of you. I'd like to welcome you to our first open session Q&A entitled Zyxel's Wi-Fi 6 CPE, now Plume certified. So I'd like to remind you, since this is an open session, there won't be any presentation. This is your chance to ask questions to our host and our panelists. Just type in your question in the chat room or raise your hand and I'll be happy to ask your question to our panelists and our host. But before we start, I'd like to introduce to you our host, Andrew Cuellar. Andrew is the Product Marketing Manager at Zyxel, and he has been with Zyxel for the past 16 years and held positions in technical support and engineering. Adam Thompson is our guest. He's the Principal Customer Solutions Engineer with Plume. He has been with Plume since 2020, where he has held various roles within the engineering organization. Adam supports the pre-sales opportunities for direct sales in North America, channel partners worldwide, and leads a team responsible for our channel partners along with the Latin America sales team. And of course, yours truly, my name is Rochelle Freiben, and I am your moderator for today's session. I've been with Zyxel for 3 years and I've been moderating Zyxel webinars in the past. Also, this Q&A will be recorded, and also all of you who joined the webinar will be automatically be qualified for the drawing of 3 Amazon gift cards. So you gotta stay here until the end. All right, so let's get the ball rolling. Okay, our first question. First off, which Zyxel models are OpenSync certified?
Okay. This is Andrew. I can fill this one. Our Wi-Fi 6 gateways, our EX5510 and EX3510 are OpenSync certified. We have the firmware ready to go there. And most recently, we've also certified our wireless extender that can pair with both gateways, and that's our WX3310. So those are the 3 models now that we have that support OpenSync and have been certified.
Great, thank you, Andrew. Just to remind you, this is an open session and it's the first time we're doing this. So the stage is yours. Just type in your question in the chat room and I'll be happy to deliver it to Andrew or Adam. All right, next up, can you share some of the key advantages of running OpenSync? Following up to that, what are the benefits over traditional TR69 management?
Awesome, a 2-parter. Okay, thank you. I will take this. This is again Adam Thompson. So let's start with the benefits of OpenSync. So hopefully a lot of the attendees are familiar with OpenSync, but really the intention of OpenSync is to decouple the services from the hardware. So in the past, and to some extent today in the world of service providers, you had voice and you had video and data as kind of the main sorts of services, right? So you probably had a couple of voice ports coming in, and maybe you were streaming some video on a couple of set-top boxes, but essentially that's what you were limited to. And then you probably also had multiple devices, from different manufacturers, and each of those required some sort of different firmware to support whatever offering that you were offering. In today's world of smart homes, we need to not only leverage the data that the smart home works on, but there's many more services that we believe are going to make a competitive advantage for the end customers. And the ability to actually have those reside somewhere out on the cloud separate from the hardware is also going to be able to curate and deliver those services faster than our competitors, which also is a competitive advantage. So that's really the reason why it's important to decouple those services from the hardware, and that's what OpenSync is doing. So OpenSync is going to enable the parts of those services to be handled kind of in the control plane by the cloud. And so that'll make it faster to be able to bring things to market because you're not having to look at multiple platforms that you have to constantly update. So if you think of OpenSync as giving you this open platform so that you can use many different types of hardware and then additionally layer services on top of those, right? So, we have the adaptive Wi-Fi. We have additional services from third parties like, AI security through Akamai or motion services through Cognitive, parental controls, those types of things. So all of those now decoupled from the hardware, managed in the cloud, making it easier for you to provide services faster than your competitors. And then I think the second part was the TR69 and why aren't we using that? So we don't use TR69 anywhere. Typically what we're doing is we're using MQTT and OVSDB. And the reason for that is TR69 is pretty antiquated, right? It wasn't set up to design or even designed really for real-time control. So doing things that we're doing like our adaptive Wi-Fi, the steering, the security, the parental controls, motion, real-time troubleshooting that we offer the providers, those just aren't built into TR69. Really, TR69 was designed as a provisioning tool and to slowly gather statistics. And it's great at that, but it's just not set up to do real-time management. So Plume, again, we've replaced TR69 protocol with open source protocols to interface with our cloud. So our cloud typically handles all of your firmware upgrades on the devices. It does provisioning, it does real-time monitoring through RESTful APIs, and then you can use our backend tools to be able to see what's going on. Now, as far as like a DOCSIS or a DSL or a fiber gateway where there's a WAN side and a LAN side, OpenSync is gonna manage the LAN side of it. So you still have the ability in cases where you have a gateway to use TR69 to do the provisioning and the WAN side type things. But essentially all the LAN stuff would be handled on the OpenSync, on the Plume Cloud side.
Great, that was a very detailed answer, Adam. But before we go to the next question, I just wanted to remind you that we will be drawing 3 Amazon gift cards towards the end, so you gotta stay. All right, so okay, the next question. How do we get the OpenSync firmware for testing?
Okay, that'll come back to the Zyxel side. Now we do offer the OpenSync firmware free of charge, up to you to decide to use it and run with it. But we maintain a firmware site on our side that hosts all of our GA firmware releases, release notes, and even a knowledge base. And along with that, we have also added the OpenSync firmwares to that database. So if you already have access to our site, our NAC site, you'll just need to search for the product model and get the OpenSync firmware. But if you do need access, please reach out to your engineering contact, your Zyxel sales representative. You can even email us at broadband@zyxel.com for more information, and we can get the ball rolling that way. But essentially, once you have access to our site, you'll be able to download those firmwares as needed. So we do host them for you, again, free of charge. And once you're ready to obtain them and test them, everything's ready to go, we can definitely help you get access to those.
Great. Thank you, Andrew. Just also to remind you, this is an open session. It's the first time we're doing this, so you can type in your question, put it in the chat room, and we'll answer your question. All right. Okay, Andrew. Following to that, if I have OpenSync, now what?
Well, the next thing is really, aside from applying the firmware either via TR69 or directly through the web GUI, we do have to do some back-end housekeeping. So what we need is to obtain the device serial numbers and the Plume partner ID. So once you have those two bits of information, even multiple serial numbers, which in most cases you can also obtain from distributors as well, once you've already purchased our devices. But you take those information, the serial number, Plume partner ID, and you send them over to your Plume contact, or at least let them know that you'd like to get these registered to your partner ID, and as well as sending that information to logistics@plume.com to have those devices added to your account. So once everything's been added on the back end, then you'll be able to apply the OpenSync firmware, and again, either via the web GUI, the local GUI, or TR69.
Okay, great.
And Rachel, if I could piggyback off of that just a little
yeah,
bit,
of course.
in case there's somebody here that isn't already a Plume customer, talking about partner IDs and setting those things up, we can certainly engage someone from a sales organization to assist with the actual beginning process of actually starting to become a customer and setting up a trial and those types of things. So there's always that opportunity if you're not familiar with it already.
Okay, thank you, Adam. All right, we seem to have a lot of OpenSync questions to either to Adam or Andrew. Next question is, can I upgrade field deployed devices to OpenSync?
I could fill this one. So as long as you already have a method of remote management, as long as you're able to get into those devices remotely, even via the web GUI, yes, we can definitely upgrade those devices in the field to OpenSync. Optimally, I'd say the best route is if you already have an ACS set up for access, that's probably the best route, as you could just push those upgrades over TR69. And you can also, whether it be a maintenance window or something scheduled with a customer, so they have that downtime and they know when to expect it as well. Because once we get running with OpenSync, there is some stuff for the end user, the subscriber, to do to take full advantage and set up the rest of their network.
Okay, all right. So speaking of ACS, next question is, will I still be able to manage devices from my ACS while running OpenSync? And following up to that, can I continue to perform CAF testing with OpenSync running? That's a good question.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
Andrew, I touched on that a little bit, but I think I'll let you go ahead and respond. But yeah, I think I touched on that a little bit on the TR69 question earlier.
Yes,
Absolutely. You still certainly can do the WAN side of things that you're accustomed to doing today. What we're doing is we're providing you that additional visibility into the LAN side of the network that you may not have had the ability to see into, and providing the services to that end user.
that's exactly right. And like you mentioned, you have that real time on the LAN side, but then on the WAN side, you have that ability to schedule things with TR69. Since, like you mentioned, it's not exactly something, I guess, extremely useful for those real-time data, real-time analytics, things like that. But so yes, you can definitely continue to manage your devices via TR69 once they've already, of course, been in contact with the ACS. That is definitely necessary. So you're not going to be able to simply take a device without ACS access, upgrade it to OpenSync, and then be able to manage it via TR69. So you'll already need to have that kind of set up on the device before the upgrade, and then you'll be able to maintain that connection with the ACS. So you'll be able to push the firmware, obtain different things from the data model while running OpenSync. And regarding the CAF testing with OpenSync, so this was kind of our main kind of idea behind running a hybrid model, having that ability to still maintain the ACS TR69 connection while running OpenSync. Is we know a lot of our providers, a lot of customers that we work with have really invested heavily in the FCC testing. So they already have an ACS set up, they already have TR143 optimized, ready to go. So we provide this option so that even if you decide to, run OpenSync, everything like that, you can still utilize all those tools, all those systems you already have in place for reporting on the FCC data that's necessary. So yes, we can definitely continue to communicate with the devices via TR69, and we can also perform those necessary CAF and FCC testing.
Awesome. Thanks for the answer, Andrew. Okay, this is the last question, unless you guys are still writing in your question. Can we use Plume SuperPods behind the EX5510 running OpenSync firmware? Andrew or Adam?
Yes,
Yeah, absolutely. yes.
absolutely. Yeah. No.
I think that's one of the key points behind this as well, with OpenSync and the whole idea of being open, right? Is once you're running OpenSync, you can kind of work with any other OpenSync device, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so I guess that will be all the questions for today. That was quick, short but sweet. Thank you to all our attendees who attended this first Q&A session. And before we end our session, I'd like to announce our 3 winners of the $25 gift card: Gladys Maximan, Josh Wilson, and Robert Taylor. Congratulations, guys. And somebody just sent a message. Jenny said thank you. Thank you, Jenny, too. So that wraps up our first Q&A session. And Andrew and Ed, do you want to say something before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I'll start. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Certainly, if you have questions or concerns, interest in OpenSync and how that works, feel free to reach out to me. I'm available at athompson@plume.com, and happy to field questions if you guys have some questions about that.
Awesome. And Andrew?
Yes, definitely. Similar nod. If there's any questions, anything we can help with, you can definitely reach out to us. Broadband@zyxel.com. We'll get to our team, and we can definitely assist you from there.
All right, thank you, guys. And 2 people sent the thanks, much to learn, and great session. All right, thank you, guys, and I'll see you on our next session. And have a great day. Thank you, guys. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks again, everyone.